Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're going to be talking about the spell Feign Death. I guess, all right, before we get into uses, let's, what does it do?
Ritual spell, one action, necromancy. So already it's like, well, it's a ritual, it can't be that bad. Bard, Cleric, Druid, Wizard. So it's best on Clerics, Druids, Wizards. Wizards is actually the best because they can just stick in their book, forget about it, and just always have it. Most like a feature on a wizard. But then you get to basically put someone into a catatonic or cataleptic is the word they use state, indistinguishable from death. So you can either spend an action to do it, and someone looks like they died for an hour, or you can spend 10 minutes to do it, and someone looks like they died for an hour. And then any time you can just let them out by touching them and relieving them of that. The creature doesn't be willing. So like, this is a tool that lets you sneak into morgues. This is a tool that lets you hide someone that you're trying, like hide yourself or someone else that you want the enemies to think they killed. I don't know. It also has like, there's some neat upsides where the creature gets resistance to all damage except psychic damage. And it like suspends disease and poison effects. That makes it not just a spell for disguising, but also something you can do to like offset a problem for an hour, which is neat. I think it suffers from the same problem that a lot of the disease-ridden spells do, is that there just isn't a robust disease system in this game. There isn't a lot of interesting diseases for the most part, in my opinion. But like beyond that, it's still a somewhat useful utility spell. It's just really narrow in that usefulness, right? This is like I think it's going to come up relatively frequently, where pretending to be dead will be useful.
But it's Romeo and Juliet.
I mean, that was disastrous, which is probably how it'll go on every D&D table, let's be honest. But still, it's a neat idea. Like conceptually, it's pretty solid at doing the thing.
Upsetting your mom?
Sure.
Yeah.
Walk in and be like, oh my God!
That'll teach her to not let me go to the prom.
Precisely. I get to stay up till 2 a.m. playing Fortnite every night, Mom. That kind of thing, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I guess the holding off poison and disease is neat. There's probably applications beyond sneaking into morgues.
Yeah. It could definitely, like, I'm envisioning Monty Python's Bring Out Your Dead kind of scene where I'm not quite dead, but you are pretending, in fact, that you are quite dead. I don't know really if that's good. There's probably some instances where you can figure out ways that dead things get to go places that living things don't, and that's a neat infiltration tool, but that seems super niche and very hard. Like, you have to go out of your way to be like, all right, I'm taking Feign Death and we're making a plan that involves Feign Death. It's a ritual though, so it's not really that tall of an ask. That's something you can be like, yeah, sure. It doesn't cost me anything. Why not?
I think, if you just lie down and hold your breath, a lot of times that'll be enough.
Yeah, if you're looking at battlefield situation, I think a decent deception or performance check probably can make it look like you're dead anyway. It is nice that this just like confirms it, even if they come up to inspect you, like, nah, they look dead. So that's nice.
If they really want to confirm it, they'll stab you.
Sure, and then you'll take half damage because you get resistance to all damage. So that's, it thinks about that a little bit, right? If they do come over with the bayonet and stab in your belly, you just go, and you don't die though. You just take half damage, assuming you're not already about to die.
Oh
yeah, exactly. No noises even come out. Internally you want to scream, but you physically cannot because you are
that's
dead.
Horrible.
Yeah, honestly it sounds kind of nightmarish, but just imagine being like catatonic for an hour and just staring, unable to move, not breathing. It sounds miserable.
Are you awake?
Cataleptic state and it's different from death. I don't know. Oh yeah, you're blinded and incapacitated, so maybe? I don't know if incapacitated means you're unconscious. I don't think it does. So
no, it certainly doesn't. That's restrained is incapacitated. That's
yeah.
You're awake.
It sounds horrific. I don't know. Yeah. You're not deafened, so you can still hear things. So you can pretend to be dead and listen in on stuff. That's nifty.
That's neat. Yeah.
I love the idea, right? Just like there being a pile of dead goblins and you pretend to die on like in the giant pile of dead goblins in the villain's lair, and the villain goes, "Ugh, what idiots! All right, well now I'm gonna monologue about all of our villainous plans and how these goblins were an integral part of it," and then you just get to listen in on that. I don't know. That's silly and probably never realistically going to happen, but that's a cute use case that I really want to be the case for Feign Death. And it again, the only reason I'm not saying like this spell's really, really bad is because you can cast it for free. It's just something you just tack onto a character sheet 95% of the time, right? It's I don't really have anything else I want to prepare as a druid or cleric. I guess I'll prepare Feign Death. Or if you're the wizard, it's just in my spell book. I'm never preparing it ever, and I just have it for free. Which again, pro tip to all wizards out there, I would highly recommend having a learned spell list that is the spells you always prepare, and then ritual spells are in your spell book. And you can make it so that you're almost always having a full suite of things to do, and there's never spells you don't have prepared, and you just get to do more shit than everyone else. It's really busted. Spellbook mechanic was not well thought through, especially with ritual casting. In any case, like you just take Find Familiar, Identify, the whole works, because they're mainly going to be good only when you cast so much rituals anyway. That sidebar aside, though, that's why Feign Death can be decent. It's going to be something you stick in your spellbook and just be like, yeah, this is a weird situation where we do want to pretend to be dead for 10 minutes. That rare time whenever you go onto the battlefield and you're the cleric or druid that did prepare it, you can be like, aha, things went really badly and everyone abandoned me. I'm going to pretend to be dead. And then you catch up later, I guess. It lasts an hour, so most of the time things are going to like dissipate and give you some freedom to get up and leave. There is some advantage to your enemies thinking you're dead, and this can be a way that your enemies can think you're dead. If you have like a bounty on your head or something, and you and the party come up with an elaborate scheme to make it look like you get murdered in the street and like a showdown gunslingers duel-esque kind of thing, and you feign death yourself, and then they collect the bounty, and then they take your corpse out, bury it in the ground, and someone digs you up 30 minutes later, and you run away happy. Sure, you could make some interesting plans and stuff like that, right? There is real perks to people thinking you're dead. I don't know if they're real enough that I would spend spell slots on it all that frequently, nor is it something I think would come up every game. But in the games where it does, and the games where if you're the kind of person that really likes making the plans and like running with wacky hijinks, Feign Death is a nifty tool, I think. I think it's ultimately where I land on it. I don't think it's that good still, but it's, again, such a low cost, I can't say that it's bad.
Yeah, it's ripe for nifty hijinks, but I'm having trouble coming up with any for this one, other than what we've already discussed. But yeah.
You could do a weekend at Bernie's, but he's not actually dead.
That's not a weekend at Bernie's. I mean, I can do that right now.
Listen,
really well. I am doing it.
I told you the hijinks. That's what we're here for. Yeah, I think the real use cases of this are going to be few and far between. I think most of the time you're not going to want to cast this. I think if you want to cast this, you have to go out of your way to do it. But you can probably do some nifty stuff if you do that. Ultimately, I'm leaving this to be like a 2 out of 5. It's not good. You're never going to want to like, oh yeah, I'm so glad I prepared to Feign Death. It being a ritual, it can never be that bad. So
yeah. 2 out of 5 sounds about right. As always, listeners, watchers, if you got anything we didn't cover, good uses for Feign Death, we'd love to see them in the comments. All right, everyone, that was Feign Death. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.